Hello, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are continuing our coverage of Oathbringer with a solo chapter today, chapter 120, The Spear That Would Not Break. Quite a lengthy chapter, so I can see why we're only doing one, wherein everything happens. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. In no particular order, Kaladin and Amaram get to have a bit of a showdown, which is cool. Even though Amaram did consume Yelignar and make that, completely uneven, but, all is well. Salam, more illusions come to life, including what seems like separating out Radiant and Veil from herself, which is kind of cool. Adolin has deepened his bond with his sword, who it would seem her name is Maya, and he's rallying the Thaylen defenders. Seth and Lift successfully get the rubies to Dalinar, which is very important. Renarin helps to defeat the Thunderclast and secures the Oathgate. Bridge 4, led by Teft, arrive through said Oathgate. Hooray, that's looking great. Dalinar embraces the thrill and tracks it inside the ruby. And I did say last of all with Dalinar, but we can't forget Yasna, who is completely fine on her own, doing all of her soul casting and is a complete machine out on the field there and doesn't hesitate in finding time to help Shallan with her studies also. So, I'm Jamie, and this week with me is...
Dak?
And Data. No Joe this time.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche podcast is about to begin.
Yearnings intertwined, the golden age in ashes once again. Under stirring stars, in the burning shards, kindle fragments of the falling rain. So look to the break of dawn, to the break of dawn. Stronger together now.
So yeah, one big chapter this time. I mentioned previously, it's longer than short stories that we've read by themselves. So big old chapter, many things happened. What did you guys think of The Spear That Would Not Break? I like that we don't have to say these chapters. We could just refer to the one chapter name because that's all we read.
Yeah, just chaotic. So much stuff going on. Crazy shit. So I guess the two biggest things to come out of this are Amaram dead. Hooray! There was much rejoicing. But I'll admit, like, when we finally worked out what happened, I was actually a bit heartbroken when I saw what happened because of all people who did it, it was Rock. I'm like, oh no. Like the guy who didn't want to fight. Like the one guy who's just like, no, I'm not fighting. He's the one who had to make a kill. And I'm just like, oh no, what's that going to do to the poor guy? So that was a bit bittersweet. Dalinar capturing Thrill House, really cool. I loved the way he did it. Again, I think we'll probably talk about it more when we get to the end of the book, but I think with everything that's gone down, like in the last few chapters, but even earlier in the book, I think I can safely say Oathbringer, I think, is my favorite of the Stormlight books thus far. It's gotten me the most emotionally, so yeah. We can discuss that more later, but yeah, like Dalinar taking out Thrill House, I'm like, all right, I think I can safely call this one now. Yeah, Yasna, like, this is the shit we came for. This was really cool. I don't know what to make of the Shallan stuff with Veil and Radiant and how that's all working. Yeah, I'm just baffled. Like, so, all right, they're there. Everyone can see them. Yeah, I can't wrap my head around this stuff. I think it's just confusing. I'm still trying to process what else. Like, I know we talked about it. Like, what else happened? Just because it was so much, and trying to internalize it all. Yeah, Seth, Lift, they were awesome. Renarin got some good moments in, so that was nice. Adolin, they fighting the giant monster, that was cool. I liked his buddy that helped him out as well. That random guy was like, "Yes, I help you." That guy was fun. Yeah, just lots going on. I really enjoyed, I think, most of it, if not all of it. So, yeah, good chapter.
Yeah, it's interesting how with so much stuff happening, pretty much everybody gets a little moment at least, if not a few little moments in there. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it really does feel like the climax, not just of this book, but of the last three. Like, this is where a lot of it has just come to a head. And like, Man, book 4's gonna have to step things up if it wants to, you know, build on this, because this is a hell of a climax.
Oh yeah.
Like it feels like, this, like, if the Stormlight were a trilogy, and obviously it's not, and there's a lot more to go, but this would be a fitting end to a trilogy if that's where we decided to go.
Yeah, I could see that. There's a lot of payoffs, a lot of things getting like Amaram storyline getting tied up. You have we've been building towards something with Dalinar for all of these books, and it seems like you get the payoff here where he's almost turning and then not, and he makes
Yeah.
that decision. So I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one thing I forgot to point out about Amaram getting taken down. It's like, it's nice that really Amaram's story, as we know it, started with him killing Kaladin's men and ends with him getting killed by Kaladin's man. So
That's
that was
true.
some nice little symmetry.
Yeah. Also, I tend to agree with you. When I got to this point, this was probably my favorite of the three. In the fandom, I think Words of Radiance is often one that people pull out as a favorite, and I've heard
Most people I've spoken to have said, yeah, Words of Radiance is their
Yeah.
favorite.
And I've heard people complain that this one gets to be a bit of a slog around like the Kholinar and then Shadesmar stuff, but I don't personally find it to be. So just different tastes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start backwards and go overall, even though we haven't finished this book. I really like this book. It feels tight. I feel like we've got a few more things resolved than, like, so far than we might have in the other books. I'm going to note though, and because Adolin noted it. Oh wait, don't forget, he killed Thaddeus. That's still not resolved. I'm
True.
just Brandon. I'm holding you to account. You will give me an answer at some point. All the others will get an answer. Obviously, I know he's dead, but who killed Thaddeus is still a mystery in this universe to everyone except Adolin and Shallan, I believe. So we will get answers to that. Yeah, wow. This was a big chapter, and I do feel like some processing time is kind of necessary. But yeah, everyone got their moment, and it really felt like there was no one person that it all hinged on. It was really nice that everyone was able to come together and do their thing. I'm glad Kaladin got his moment with Amaram. Do I wish he'd been able to take him out? Yeah, probably. It is a bit sad for Rock, but at the end of the day, I'm sort of glad that he was taken out. That's fine. Shallan, I don't know. It throughout the book, I guess that's been ramping up to Veil and Radiant being separate people, and then to be able to like physically separate them out and people can see that they're different and stuff. I was really worried about where that was going to go, but now I'm more kind of interested about where that's going to go for her long term. Whether it's just a case of the three realms are really close together and it was taking advantage of all that power. Like, I hope that she's able to come out of this with a bit more, a bit more clarity or a bit more assuredness about who she is and how she moves forward with these multiple sort of personas that she's got going. I feel like I'm less worried about her at the moment. Yasna was awesome. Just like every time she was on page, I was just like, this is great. She's so skilled with these abilities. I want to see a whole thing about Yasna just doing this stuff now. That was really, really awesome. Renarin, I'm so glad we got more of him. I was a bit worried at the start of the chapter when it was like, where's Renarin? Wasn't he supposed to be taking care of that thunderclast? I was like, oh no, Renarin, don't do it. Don't be bad. Like, don't switch to the dark side now. Where are you, Renarin? But obviously he was doing exactly what he should have been doing, and I apologize to Renarin for thinking maybe he wasn't for a split second there. But he did a great job, and I like to see sort of how his fits or his visions came out. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, Dalinar and Thrill House, also very awesome. I don't know, I feel like all those flashbacks with Dalinar, it kind of makes sense now. Like, cultivation was like, you're going to need these back, or like, you'll get them back, and he needed to get them back when he got them to be able to process again and then own it. And I think it just, everything happened the way it was meant to for him, and I'm really happy about that. Yeah, it was a lot. It's a lot. I feel like it's like a book in one chapter. Like, there's a lot. I do like the choppy, changey perspectives, but I feel like this chapter did not feel as choppy, changey as some have. When like some, it's a cut to this person, and you get like 3 sentences about what they're doing, and you cut onto another person, and you didn't really have any substance, but it's building suspense. I feel like every time we switched from one to another, we were getting something out of it. So, like, while it was choppy changey, I think it wasn't just pure chaos and keeping you on your toes. I think everything had purpose, and I really liked how that went.
Yeah. I think it also helps, and I agree with you. It felt like we're getting substantial stuff with every perspective change, and that does make a difference. But I think it also helps on some level that we're in the same. All our perspectives are pretty much in the same place, and what happens in one is playing into what's happening in another one. Like, Seth and Lift are affecting what's going on with Dalinar, and
True.
Adolin and Renarin are affecting each other, and Yasna and Shallan and stuff. So I feel like that makes it feel more smooth also.
Yeah, definitely.
And you hit the nail on the head, I feel like, with the stuff about Dalinar's memories. He got them back exactly when he needed them. Even though it didn't make sense to us or him at the time, he got what he needed in order. And recognizing the thing with the thrill, for sure, but I think also to avoid the thing with Odium, because if he hadn't remembered what happened until then, and Odium like gave him those memories back, he wouldn't have had time to get used to it and resist how horrendous it was. So we might have lost him.
Absolutely. He almost needed like the memories to go away so that he could heal as a person and build himself back up without that burden. And then to have them back, now you've got a strong foundation. You can deal with these now. And so he crashed, but not for very long. And then to come through it and go, no, I can be accountable for what I did. I did it. It was my call. You may have been there influencing things or pulling things in the background, but it wasn't you, mate. And just to be out, like, how strong he was at the end of that was pretty amazing.
And he even got to be he got to be clever, because he was the one person who figured out, like, I understand this stuff about the Unmade now and how to handle this, when nobody else had quite, like, he talks about how Shallan confronted the one under Urithiru, but even she didn't understand what happened. She tried to do the same thing in Kholinar, and it didn't work because you weren't bringing the same thing to the table with it.
Yep.
So good on him. All right, I guess let's move into these chapters, y'all. Or these chapters. This one chapter that we read, because it's insanely long. And we get another piece of the Way of Kings postscript. If the journey itself is indeed the most important piece, then I traveled not to avoid duty, but to seek it. So, all right. I see what you're doing. We ended the last section with Dalinar basically handing out assignments. Like, you go do this, you go do that. And so Kaladin is doing his thing. He's going to try to protect Dalinar while Dalinar goes into the mist. And also deal with Amaram.
Mist again? God damn it, this is Mistborn.
Yeah, this is a freaky red mist that takes the form of, like, dying horses and people and stuff. So it's a little bit different.
Damn it, McLovin.
And I love that we start out with Kaladin still blaming himself for not being able to swear that oath. But it's like, no, let's deal with this later. We got a guy to handle.
Really is just like he will always find something to berate himself for, won't he?
Absolutely will.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy. He's just not going to be able to. Anyway. And then we go to Adolin, who is first off like, "Wow, I'm not dead. That's pretty cool." And there's a moment with him and Shallan where she's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he tells her, like, "I'll be fine. Go save the city. Be radiant," which is pretty cool.
Yeah. He's also mourning his jacket. He's like, "Oh man."
The jacket thing killed
I was like,
me.
not before he has a dig about the fact his jacket got wounded.
You poor man. Your jacket.
Like, to be fair though, at this stage, I'd be disappointed if Adolin didn't make a crack like that. It's like, I've come to expect it.
Okay, yeah. It's Adolin needs to Adolin, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shallan creates her, like, army of illusionary army, I guess is the better word to put it. Out of all the people she's ever drawn, more or less. And one of them is Adolin, and she's made him a Windrunner in this illusion, and he's just like, yeah, I can't handle that. Okay, I'm going.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Just make him feel bad about not having powers, whatever.
Mm-hmm. But also to give him specifically Kaladin's powers. Like, oh, come on.
She's like, these are real cool, right? Yeah, why not? And I love for a moment, he reaches out to pick up a sword that he finds, and he's like, oh, wait, duh, I'm back in the real world. I can summon my sword now. And then we cut to Seth, who is no longer Seth, son Villano, or Seth. He's Seth of the Skybreakers. And he's jealous of Kaladin, because Kaladin gets to hang out with Dalinar. But whatever, I said I was going to do what he told me to do. And him and Lift are going to head off and try to get that gem. And Lift says to the sword, you're not going to eat me again, right? Or try to eat me. And said, don't be silly. You weren't evil. You're nice. And I don't eat people.
So this threw me a bit. I thought only the person holding Seth could hear him, but now Lift can too.
I don't recall. I'm trying to remember if we ever experienced Nightblood like talking to Vivenna while Vasher was holding him or something, and I don't recall offhand, honestly. I feel
Although,
like maybe.
I guess to be fair, she says it, Nightblood responds, then Seth responds, and then Liv responds to that. So it's entirely possible that she's just talking. She is talking to Seth, not the sword.
Yeah, we're in Seth's perspective, so he would hear that.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's unclear who she's talking to, if she's aware it's the sword or she thinks that Seth is just doing that himself.
I will not draw the sword unless you are already dead and I decide to accept death myself, he says. And she's like, great. Yeah, this is awesome. Oh, okay. And Nightblood's like, hey, you're supposed to contradict me. Whenever I said I didn't need people, Vasher contradicted me. I think he was joking. Anyway, as people who have carried me go, you're not very good at this. And Seth's like, no, I'm not good at being a person. It's a failing of mine.
Which, ouch.
Right? And Nightblood's just like, hey, it's fine, man. Look, there's lots of evil for us to slay. Let's do that. Seth's Nightblood's having a great time, so.
This is like Dragon Ball Abridged Nappa. He's like, yeah! This is my best day, Vegeta!
If that was the voiceover for Nightblood, I don't think I could take it.
Actually, Jamie listened to the audiobook for these chapters and she had a thought on Nightblood's voice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's sillier than I expected, and I was getting hedonism, but
interesting.
It was really weird. Yeah, I mean, Michael Kramer did an extremely good job, but I was like, in all of these times where I could have heard Nightblood in the audiobook, I actually haven't, and it took me really by surprise. It was hilarious.
My gosh, now I'm gonna have to find a clip of this. Yeah.
Looks like there's a lot of evil
today.
Because
I'd mentioned it like a little bit, yeah. Like it's not spot on, but it was definitely giving me that feeling. As Jack was like, like a funny little goblin kind of voice, and I was like, I could see it. Like I could see how it all would come together like that. But it was much sillier than I was expecting it to be.
Okay. I never do audiobooks, so it's every time you talk about it, I'm like, oh, now I want to go listen to this. I know that I can't do a whole audiobook, but I need to find pieces on like YouTube or something. I'm just trying to think like of all the robots Nightblood could be, I don't think Hedonism Bot is what I would have expected. So like I could see Roberto, like that totally would feel like a Nightblood to me, but wow, okay.
I could see
that would be amazing.
Santa.
Yeah. Robot Santa, sure. I could see a Bender even.
I would have thought it would be a bit gruffer maybe.
Yeah.
Destroy evil, like a bit. That's what I was kind of expecting, and I feel like he was a lot jollier. And I mean, he's happy about it. I know he likes to kill people and he likes to, destroy it. Like I get that, but he's way too excited about it. It was good. Like I think it fits. I was just sort of taken aback by it. It was really funny.
That's great. Okay. Oh, I gotta find this. Okay, so we move back to Kaladin, who is being told by Amram, "You should thank me, boy." Because the fuck you say? Like for what? I created you, Spearman. I forged you. And then we get our question answered from last time. I think it was Jamie who's like, "Can they bond to shard blades?" It looks like yes. Yes, you can. Because Amram has his original sword that he stole from Kaladin, and he has Oathbringer at the same time.
I was very glad we cleared that up. And we got an
Yeah.
answer to that pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, not a great situation for our heroes, but good to know for sure. And not only that, but Amram is very good with these two swords, which is unfortunate. Kind of makes me think of I don't make me think of Avatar: The Last Airbender actually, in Zuko with his like two broadswords or whatever, or maybe Jet with his two hook swords. Either way,
Yep. Dual wielding.
surprised that doesn't come up more. Like we haven't seen that before.
Maybe the people just like, is that allowed?
Yeah, right. But yeah, I guess most people probably just don't have the ability to get a hold of two shard blades. But
'Cause, I mean, we've seen Adolin win shards before, and never once did he consider taking a second blade. He, gave one away to Kaladin, who then gave it to Moash,
it's true.
and so on. So it's like yeah, having a second was just didn't seem like it was even on the table.
Yeah, I wonder if he's gotten
And
training.
the Alethi that are going, what do you think about that?
We know that like Zahel trained him for all sorts of weird situations. I wonder if Adolin's ever had like dual shard blade training.
Zahel does seem like the sort of dude who's just like, oh, why don't you just carry two of these things?
Oh yeah, I can see that.
And everyone else is just like, why? He's like, because then you'd have two.
Yeah, like I don't understand the question. What do you mean why? Two blades better than one blade. Although, given how giant the shard blades are, there's probably a lot of two-handed using of one blade.
Yeah, but they're lighter than a sword that size has any right to be, so...
True. Well, and especially if you've got, like, shard plate, because then you're much stronger, so...
Yeah.
Which Amaram has, at least at the beginning of this fight. It kind of breaks through the course of the fight, and not really from anything Kaladin does. But we cut over to Dalinar, who is walking into the the red mist and seeing things from past battles. And he's just like, hello, old friend, and steps in there, which bold move, my man.
He was very sure of himself this would work.
Right? Yeah, he does not hesitate.
Although he's probably just like, well, I got no better ideas, in for a penny.
Even when he does not yet have the ruby that he needs to do this, he's just like, yeah, they'll get it for me, it's fine.
Yep. In for a ruby, in for an emerald.
And we cut to Shallan, who's creating all of these, even drawings that she's lost and doesn't have anymore. All these people popping up. There's her dad and her mom, and that's got to be uncomfortable. But then there's Vale and Radiant, and they hold hands, and she's really putting a lot of work into this, into creating an army out of nothing. Well, out of Stormlight, technically, I guess. And then we cut to Adolin, who has gotten some troops together, and he's pushing through the city. And they see a bunch of bad guys going one way, and he's like, oh crap, Yasna's over there all alone. We gotta go save her. And then they round the corner, and you find Yasna perfectly fine. It says a glow faded around her, different from the smoke of her storm, like geometric shapes outlining her. So I don't know what that means necessarily.
It's like, we need to save Yasna. It's like, no, we don't. You need to save the people Yasna is fighting.
And then Adolin finds a bunch of bad guys and starts cutting them down. I mean, he's got a shard blade. They have nothing to match that, so it's actually really easy. And he's like, wow, I'm just got so used to fighting Parshendi for years. I haven't killed another Alethi since I can't even remember. And then it pops into his head, well, don't forget about Sadius. It's like, oh, right.
It doesn't count.
I think it counts, but I'm not naysaying it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, for that matter, I'm not naysaying him killing these guys either, because what choice did he have, really? They're all controlled by Odium and in some sort of like blind, thrill-induced bloodlust. And then we go back to Yasna, who we get some interesting details about what's going on with her. It says she can see into the cognitive realm, on some level at least. Like, as glory spren go by, she can see their shapes in the cognitive realm. And then there's so much stormlight everywhere. She's taking in more than she's ever had before. And also, it's just soul casting is becoming extremely easy. A bunch of soldiers run at her, and she's just like, turn you all into, what does she use, crystal? No, smoke. She just, with a wave, a whole group of soldiers is smoke. It says, once their souls would have resisted mightily, but today, too easy. And then she walks up to the section of the wall that's been destroyed, and She's like, okay, I got this, and reaches up, and we cut away. So I don't know, was it obvious to you guys that she was about to try to fix the wall, or what did we think?
I'd sort of made the joke last week that she could probably plug the hole if she turned like soldiers' bodies into crystal or something. But I guess just like undoing the hole just by itself. I'm like, that makes sense too.
Yeah. We go back to Seth of the Skybreakers. He fears not death or pain. That's the sweet reward of death had already been snatched from him. It's like, dude, all right, chill a little bit.
He's gonna hang out in their war meetings and just like say something, and they'll just be like, "Dude, turn it down."
The Alethi are in the middle of a meeting about war, and everybody pauses and turns and looks at Seth like, "What?" I can totally see that. Like, dude, that's far even for this room.
Dallin, I was just like, Seth, we talked about this. Keep it at a 6, not a 10.
I don't know if Seth has a setting of less than 10.
You're a little intense, my friend.
Yeah. And then Lift calls him Crazy Face as she goes off to try to like smoke out the one with the ruby. Sword, don't eat anyone unless they try to eat you first. That's like Lift's motto. Don't eat anyone unless they try to eat you first.
Fair enough.
And I like Seth's logic for why he did not choose to follow the law as his third ideal, where he's like, the law is the product of a lot of people. You can't arrive at excellence by the average. Excellence is an individual quest, not a group effort. So that's why he's chosen an individual. And we also note that Nail is still up in the sky just watching this battle.
Yeah, that was something I sort of just missed a bit from these chapters, like especially considering the last chapters ended on Dalinar looking over and seeing Ash and Talon hanging out as well. I'm like, what? Like they're there, and Nail's still up in the sky. What are the heralds up to at this point?
Right. I guess Nail's just said he's going to watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
all right.
But it's like, there's a lot going on, and those are 3 pretty important characters who are just kind of absent.
Yeah, they don't show up at all. Other than this note that he sees him up there, we don't see them at all in this chapter.
Yeah.
And then Effused flies out of the ship with the ruby, and Lift follows, but can't fly, so she just starts cursing. And I love the sword's like, wow, that's an impressive vocabulary for a child. Does she even know what that last one means? And if she does, do you think she'd tell me?
Nightblood wants to say a swear.
Nightblood needs to expand his swear bank. It's fine. And Seth manages to outfly this flying Fused and get a hold of the ruby. But then a bunch more show up. I like, after he's done some pretty fancy flying to take out this guy and get the ruby, Nightblood goes, wow. And Seth's like, yeah, thanks. He's, no, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about over there to your right. And here's some more guys coming at him.
My favorite bit with this was like the Fuse stabs him, and like the inner monologues goes, fortunately with Stormlight that didn't do anything but cause pain. I'm like,
yeah. And we already established he's not afraid of pain, so it's fine.
Yeah, but I'm just like, oh, that's a cold line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we go back to Adolin, who is rescuing Navani and Fen and her consort, whose name is hard for me to say. And Navani hugs him, and she's so happy to see him. And then she's like, what about Elokar? And he's like, no, I'm sorry. And she's even like, I mean, I saw like Shallan and Kaladin down there, so everybody made it but him. I mean, yeah, just screw Scar and Drahi, I guess. And Shallan's people. Who'd she take? She took Batha and the girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, screw those guys. Everybody made it except for Elokar.
It's at some point in this chapter, Adolin does mention, it's like, oh, I wish Scar and Drahi were here. They're good dudes.
True. We also find out one of the Thaylen shard bearers went down when the wall got smashed because he was on top of it. So there's a shard blade buried down there somewhere. That could be useful, maybe. And then we see the results of Yasna's soul casting. The wall shakes, and suddenly the gap, it says metal grew like crystals to fill the hole, and suddenly it's just bronze. This one section of the wall is giant bronze patch in the middle of the stonework. And we get what I think is another new swear where Fenn's just like, towns, palms. Which is hard for me to say also.
Yeah, that's an odd collection of L's.
And Adolin's like, okay, well, actually, change of tactics. having the wall fixed makes things easier for us. Let's do this, 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 and this. He switches gears very quickly. Then Yasna just kind of walks over and looks at all the rubble, and she's like, and cocks her head, and then turns all the stone to smoke, and hey, there's a shard blade. Yasna's really
That
useful.
was easier than going digging.
Yeah.
Right? And so Fenn's son, Aelin's like, you go down, you get the sword. And he assigns everybody down here to do something or other, kind of like Dalinar did on the field. Aelin kind of takes command, and he's like, you go do this, you go do that. And just like on the field, they're like, well, what are you going to do? And Aelin's like, I think those guys up there trying to fight that Thunderclass could use help from a weapon specifically designed to cut through stone.
He's like, I've killed a chasm fiend. I'm going for something bigger.
Yeah, well, you got to go somewhere from there.
Yeah.
And we go back to Kaladin and Amaram, and Amaram is just like real good with these two blades, and Kaladin does not have that much sword training, has never seen somebody using two swords at once, so he's barely holding his own. Meanwhile, as the fight continues, Amaram's shard plate starts to like explode in places, and crystal pushes out from underneath, which is deeply disturbing.
Yeah, he's turning into Space Godzilla.
It's terrifying.
And Kaladin also has to pay attention to any fuse trying to go after Dalinar in the middle of the Thrill Cloud, in the middle of Thrill House. We're just going to go with it. But
Yeah,
it makes
Dalinar
him nauseous.
went into the Thrill House.
Yeah, works perfectly. It makes Kaladin nauseous to get too close to it, though, so that's a problem as well. And when he gets distracted fighting the fused, he suddenly starts taking arrows, as Amaram has one of those giant shard bows that shoots arrows as thick as a spear's haft. And so he has to dodge those at the same time.
I forgot those existed.
Yep, we haven't seen one in a bit. I think the end of the last book, actually, is the last time we saw one.
Mm.
And it's been a long time since we were there.
They were
What's happened?
developing them, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were new-ish at the beginning of the first book, because Sadeas uses one in the Chasm Fiend fight with Elokar and Dalinar and Aedelin. But I think they were relatively new there. And then we go back to Dalinar, who is reliving old battles from his youth inside the Thrill. And he starts to understand that the Thrill isn't, I don't know that you can say not evil exactly, but it's not like conscious. It doesn't understand. It doesn't hate people. It's just like a spren with one single driving force, like flame spren, burn, laughter spren, or like laughing. This is like a fight spren. It exists for the fight. And then back to Yasna, who exists halfway in the cognitive realm, it says, and can soul cast so effortlessly that she starts walking down the side of the wall or up the side of the wall, I don't know, and turning air into stairs as she goes, which is what is on the US cover of this book. I don't know if you guys had seen that.
No.
Let me share the art in here, but that's here's the art of the cover without the details, like the Brandon's name, which is enormous on the cover, and the Oathbringer and stuff, so you can see the picture most easily. But where's my paste? There it is.
Oh yeah, neat.
Yeah, so people had a good idea just looking at the cover
Cool.
that Yasna was going to be doing some cool stuff.
Very cool.
That is pretty cool.
I like her blade.
The bronze wall plug.
Yeah, the bronze wall thing. And her blade is very white here. I don't know if it's ever described like that in the book, but which is interesting with her dark spren. Her spren is like inky black, and the blade is apparently white. If this is an accurate depiction, which who knows?
Like how the Thunderclass is in the background. You can't really see his face, but it looks like he's looking at the wall, just going, "I just broke that."
I like that interpretation. I'm going with that. Yes, that's what's going on. It's like so annoyed. And not only is she just, making steps as she goes out of nothing, fused or like coming through the air, and she's just like can swat them out of the air without even a thought. At one point, she turns some air into a wall of pitch, and when the fused flies through it and gets pitch all over themselves, Yasna soul casts a flicker of fire and catches the dude on fire. Which that's, oh man, like I feel like we're kind of going a long way. If you can just turn people into smoke, like now you're just being dramatic. It's like I'm gonna put pitch all over him and then light him on fire. That'll be cool.
I mean, she's not just trying to stop the guys coming through. She's trying to discourage the other ones from coming through. Seeing one of their
Yeah.
guys get lit on fire, that would deter the followers.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no, that's true.
Turns one into smoke, they'd just be like, "Oh, what the hell just happened?" Turns one into sets one on fire. I was like, you're not ignoring that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Good point. And there's one that like it is flying at her, and she doesn't even look at it because she can see into Shadesmar. She uses the reactions of the Spren in Shadesmar to know exactly where it is, and just like swings her blade and cuts the guy's head in half. And just continues with her conversation. It's insane.
Like,
this is another
this
one
is
of these so cinematic.
Yeah, and I feel like this is what we've been waiting for a while. We've been like, Yasna will just tear shit through this army if given the opportunity. And here she is with the opportunity, and she did not disappoint.
Yeah, we've never seen her like going all out before, and we've known for a while it's like she would be a badass. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now she does have like the advantage of Dalinar just combined the three realms, so she's like, well, guess I'm just going to mine this for all it's worth, and she does, and it's awesome.
Okay, yeah. Also, what you were saying about discouraging other things made me remember this Dresden Files quote, and then I had to look it up.
Which book?
And it is from book 4, where Harry says, "I don't care what kind of fairy or mortal or hideous creature you are, if you've got danglies and can lose them, that's the kind of sight that makes you reconsider the possible genitalia-related ramifications of your actions real damn quick."
Yep.
That's what leapt into my mind when you said that. So I was like, "Oh, how does that quote go?" So I had to go find it.
When you said Dresden Files, I'm just like, you're gonna bring up the turkey, aren't you? Like, and then, like the fight just stops because everyone's like, "What the fuck was that?"
That is absolutely like, yeah, that's like when we were talking about Seth in a meeting earlier. It's just like everyone stops and turns, like, what the?
Yep.
Oh, for my next trick, anvils.
I don't think I'm going to finish all the books in my reread before 12 months comes out. So
yeah, I got distracted, and I'm also not going to finish.
I think I'll probably finish the book. I'm up to Deadbeat at the moment. I think I'll finish that, maybe Proven Guilty, and then I'm just going to skip ahead to Peace Talks Battleground and try and get that out for.
I was thinking the same. Yeah, try to just. I've reread them all so many times. It's fine. It's not like I'm going to forget a bunch of stuff. But yeah, Peace Talks and Battleground is probably the best place to prep for the next.
Yep.
I got the Avatar novels about Yang Chen and Kiyoshi and Roku for Christmas, and I was like, oh, I want to read these now. So I've been reading those lately.
Fair enough.
They're I read the Yang Chen ones, and I'm halfway through the Kiyoshi ones, and they're pretty good.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the book that we're actually talking about. She says the enemy is not going to be stopped by a wall, as indicated by all the flying things and also the giant stone monsters. So, and also Shallan has made her army with so much stormlight that she's used up most of the spheres Dalinar recharged. So we need to organize and get this taken care of. Unfortunately, when you look out, all those Parshmen who were not going to fight, were just supposed to be here to watch, their eyes are starting to glow red also. So that's not good.
Turns out Odium's a sore loser.
Yeah, no shit. Or it may just be because Odium is gone,
Really?
like they're all being infected by the thrill. I think it's unclear. And then she's like, why hasn't Renarin taken care of that Thunderclast yet? And they're like, oh yeah, he got slowed down by all the crowds of people. Oh man, okay, fine. But between him and Adolin, she's like, okay, I'll trust my cousins to take care of that. I'm gonna go make sure my ward doesn't get herself killed. And then we go back to Seth, who is trying to get the ruby to Dalinar now that he has it, and is being pursued by a bunch of fused. And there's the one moment where he hears a soldier die. He's like, was I supposed to save those soldiers? I'm a Radiant now. And Nightblood's like, I think they would have flown like you instead of falling down if they wanted to be saved. All right.
Okay.
And I also love that Seth is like, there's some sort of profound puzzle in those words. No, man, I disagree, sir.
Oh, this is the bit where Nightblood says something and Lift definitely hears him.
Oh, yes, you're right. Because, so Seth chucks the ruby because he's gotten cornered and he can't get away. And he knows that the fuse will go after that. And Seth's like, oh, I failed. to carry this burden. And Lift's like, it's okay. Your face is burden enough for one man. It's like, your words are wise, he says. And she's like, you're right, Sword. He's no fun at all. And the Sword's like, I think he's DV anyway. And Lift starts laughing. So yeah, she definitely does hear him.
Yep.
And then Lift has an idea about how they can take care of this. She goes, people are always after stuff, but they don't really like the stuff. They like having the stuff, which is actually a really good point in and of itself. It doesn't really explain her thought process, but it's true. Meanwhile, Seth is like, I think that's less wise than the thing you said about my face.
What?
But no, she's like, the best way to rob somebody is to leave them thinking that nothing is wrong. And that's when we cut back to Shallan, who is holding hands with Radiant and Vale. And she's made thousands of illusions, and she thinks each one has a piece of herself in them, a little bit of her soul. And honestly, it's all becoming a bit much for her. And she starts like huddled together with Radiant and Vale, and they're kind of arms around each other. And a voice is like, hey, could you stop hugging yourself for a minute? I need some help. I'm sorry, I love Lift. And it's true that she's better in small doses, but still.
Like, she has been phenomenally better in this book than her previous appearances. I don't like Words of Radiance and Edge Dancer. There were plenty of times I'm just like, oh, you are so frustrating. I don't think I've had any of those moments in this book. It's like we haven't had like too many of the really sweet and heartfelt moments, but she's a lot less grating, I think.
I think that's the small doses thing, yeah. She doesn't have time to be great. And we cut back to Kaladin and Amaram still fighting, and Amaram's like laughing. You've got great form, Spearman. Do you remember when you first came to me and begged me to take you with me? You were a blubbering child who wanted so badly to be a soldier. So he's continuing to try to convince Kaladin that, like, yeah, you're successful, and it's all thanks to me. Look how great I made you. And then Kaladin...
nice to see, like, Amaram's true personality. He's not hiding what he is anymore.
Yeah, it's true. As he gets consumed by crystal.
Yeah.
Genomite is rock candy. That would be a twist. No one would be expecting that. And Kaladin's like, I've killed a guy wearing shard plate before. I can do it again. And Syl's like, yeah, maybe stab him in the face. And he's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. He also shoots a rock at the horse to get it to run away with that big bow. And Hamram's like, oh, you're beating up an animal because you can't defeat me?
Once again, the horse.
Yep.
Yeah, the horse.
It didn't die, though, so, you know.
Small mercies.
And then there is a giant fused who comes to help. Even taller than plated Amaram. Has an enormous club. And as Kaladin watches, the creature's brown carapace-crusted arms covering his face like a helm, growing to thick armor in a matter of moments. So it's got really thick carapace, and it can grow it into shapes and things. So that's not good.
We call this wrecking ball form.
Not ideal, no.
Aelin's going up the street, trying to take out or get close to the Thunderclast, I should say. And he gets in there, he starts slashing at the thing's ankles, essentially. He's talking to a sword like, this is what you were made for, right? Like, shard blades have always been impractically long for duels, but against something like this, and he can feel it. The sword wants to fight. And not only does he get this feeling, he gets a word from her, Maya Lauren. So, like, her name? And he goes, right, Maya, let's bring this thing down. So this relationship is developing between person and sword.
I love everything about this.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a long series of him and the really impressively surviving this fight with the Thunderclast, because he has no business doing as well as he does, although he does get the crap kicked out of him a bit. And he manages to, like, cut through its ankles enough that when it moves, it breaks. But then it keeps going, no problem balancing on the stump of its leg. It's just, I guess, a little lopsided now. Dalinar, back to him. He's with the Thrill, and he tells it, I embrace you. I accept what I was. Thank you for giving me strength when I needed it. I was that man. I understand you, as he's reliving all this stuff. And then we see Venli even, briefly, as she runs away from the fight. And Timber inside of her is helping her hold on to, like, it's, in this case, the rhythm of the lost, these old rhythms, and encouraging her. And she starts to say the first oath, life before death, strength before weakness. And then a fused grabs her and it's like, hey, what are you doing? You failed to obey the word of passion. And like just kind of screams at her, and you have to choose who you're going to serve. And she's like, yeah, no, I choose. It's good. And he just nods, like, okay, good then, and goes back. And we get a conversation of sorts between her and Timber, where she's like, I'm still wearing one of their forms, but I can hear these old rhythms again. There was a void spren in my gem heart. How? And Timber says something. He's like, wait, you've done what? How can you keep a void spren captive? And her section ends with her finishing Journey Before Destination. And she can draw light from a sphere now.
Well, this is a development.
Right? I guess that means Timber is one of the Radiant Spren.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
And you may remember Dalinar last time was like, well, there's 9 orders represented here. Where's the 10th one? Well, here we go.
Okay.
Just not where he expected to look. She was standing right near him, too. Back to Adolin, who's run into one of the Thaylen shard bearers who just has the armor. And he's like, okay, you can take hits, and I can cut it. So you distract it, and I'll get in there. There's also a moment in here where he saves like a little boy who's going to be crushed by the monster, which is pretty cool. Even in these horrible moments, he's being a decent dude.
This is just Adolin. Like, he looks out for the little guy.
And honestly, I kind of forgotten that little moment until I read it again this time. And I was like, oh man, just even in the middle of this horrible fight, he's still looking out for people. Good guy.
Yeah. Adolin is a great guy.
And there's a moment where he needs his sword back and he starts summoning her, and there's only been 7 heartbeats, but he's like, Maya, please. And then she shows up early. So that's got to mean something. And as he's getting the crap kicked out of him, he's like, at least I've distracted the thing from going towards the Oath Gate still. So that's something. And then as he is in bad shape, and as he's about to try to put himself back in the fight, Renarin finally shows up. Which Adolin left after him. He really did get caught in a crowd or something, because you'd think if you saw a guy with a shard blade coming, maybe you'd get out of the way if you were one of these crowds, but what do I know?
Maybe he just didn't have his shard blade out at the time.
Yeah, maybe. And Renarin's like, Adolin, what are you doing? Don't be stupid. Go get away. You're unarmored and you're going to get killed. He also heals Adolin from whatever really bad stuff has just happened to him.
That's like twice in like half an hour.
Right? And Adolin accepts that Renarin is right. And he's like, okay, I'm going to rest for a minute. And he gives the Thaylen guy his shard blade to go with the plate. And he's like, here, you take this. Meanwhile, Renarin runs at the thing and gets squished. Like, hand just like smashes him like a bug. And Adolin freaks out until he sees Renarin's shard blade cutting up through the hand that has crushed him and cutting it off from the wrist. And he looks fine.
I'm so glad Renarin found his groove.
Right? I'm not sure. I think it even says here, like, Renarin seems to heal faster than the others. Because I don't know that I believe, from what we've seen, I believe Kaladin could get squished and just pop right back up.
No. Maybe Miles could do that, but we haven't seen anyone on this planet with that kind of healing.
True, Miles probably could. And then there's what I think is a cool scene of Seth. He retrieves the gemstone and then makes a swap, a really like slick little swap with Lift, where he pretends to stumble into like a rock and a dead body or whatever, but Lift is hiding there and switches out what the bag he's holding with another bag that has a rock that's been illusioned by Shallan to look like the gem, so that when the Fused get a hold of the gem, they run off thinking they're successful. And Seth can keep leading them on while Lift goes to get the thing to Dalinar. But after the Fused have gone, thinking they won and got the thing back, Seth tries to go into the Thrill Cloud, the mist, and he cannot do it. He's like, I got to get away from here. And she's like, yeah, fine, I got it. Go back, help the redhead. And she goes in. So good on her. We cut back to Amaram and Kaladin, where Amaram is screaming in pain as more pieces of crystal grow out of him and break his armor even more.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't see this happen to Aesudan.
We did not. Of course, we didn't see that much of her after she swallowed the thing.
Yeah, true.
I wonder if she just, like, tore through the fight after that and turned into one of these things also, or if the fighting was mostly over by the time Kaladin and Co left, and so she just kind of died or something. I don't know. We know that it apparently consumed her, but that's all we know.
It really bode well for, like, if Amram had survived this fight. I don't know. It would have been a very generous definition of survival.
Right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, Odium made it sound like it was, I don't know, a matter of will or something to resist getting consumed by Yelignar, but I don't know. Was it Yelignar? I think it was, right?
It was Yelignar.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find the references that we had to, like, what did Odium say? From Hessi's Mythica that we read earlier, Yelignar had great powers, perhaps the power of all surges compounded into one. He could transform any Voidbringer into an extremely dangerous enemy. Curiously, 3 legends I found mentioned swallowing a gemstone to engage the process. What else did we have?
Seems to be a bit of truth to that.
Oh, and back in The Way of Kings, an epigraph of The Way of Kings from Yasna's notebook, it says, Yelignar, called Blightwind, was one that could speak like a man, though often his voice was accompanied by the wails of those he consumed. So that was a long time ago, but kind of makes sense now.
So people think they're swallowing Yelignar, but Yelignar is actually swallowing them and just adding them to his collection.
Ooh. Oh, here's a cool image from one of the Brotherwise games of that was in the wiki article. Hold on, the image is apparently called Servant of Odium, but it seems to be someone, possibly Amaram here. Anyway, he's fighting Amaram. He's also having to fight this giant hulking fused. And when like he blocks a swing of the club, of the Carapace club from this fused with Syl, and it did not do much good. There's also a moment where Amaram uses, like, what I can only assume is one of the surges to turn the ground into, like, it makes Callan's foot sink into the ground, and then when he gets knocked back, it, like, breaks his ankle, which is real disturbing also. And also he uses a lashing, so it does seem like he has all of the surges somehow. Well, somehow. Through Yelignar, presumably, given what we read about him before. And Amaram has this whole thing. It could have been so glorious. You, me, Dalinar together on the same side. Yeah, like that was ever going to happen, dude. And to address Jaime's concern from the previous couple of episodes, he's like, you're not even Amaram anymore, are you? And Amaram's like, oh, no, yeah, I'm still me. As his helmet explodes, revealing Amaram's face, which has crystals coming out of it.
It's fucked up.
Odium promised me something grand, and that promise has been kept.
Yeah. I feel like, because I was sort of worried that he had been corrupted so much that he wasn't himself anymore. But if it's a case of, you get this additional power, it kind of manifests based on who you are. Like, if this is the true Amaram, if this is what he really felt like, he's been playing. Amaram is on Amaram's side this whole time. He's been underhanded and only really looking out for himself. But this is scary. This guy is just, he's in such a position of power, and now to have all of this additional power that is just enhancing his awful qualities. If that's how this works, oof.
Yeah.
Like, that's nasty.
It's not great. It reminds me of the Captain America Super Soldier Serum in the movie where he's just like, it just makes you more of what you are. So if you're good, that's good. If you're bad, not so much.
Yeah. I do feel it's a missed opportunity for Kaladin right here. Amaram's going about, everything I do is for honor. And Kaladin be like, so you joined the guy who killed him?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Amaram spent all this time trying to get the heralds to return, and Odium has shown him what has become of the heralds. They've been here all along. They abandoned us.
Yeah, he's not wrong there.
Mm-hmm. And then we get down to what I think may actually be the gist of the matter, where he's just like, I hurt once. Did you know that? After I was forced to kill your squad, it hurt me. Until I realized it wasn't my fault. None of this is my fault.
Familiar?
Yeah, this seems to be Odium's, like, how he gets you.
Yep. It's like, no, I made you do that. Nothing you did was wrong. You know who also reminds me of? Fucking Moash.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you can see how it would have been tempting for Dalinar also. Almost too tempting. But he stood up, proving to be the better man over Amaram, as if there were ever any doubt of that.
But we never liked Amaram, but it took a while before we realized, oh shit, he's actually joined Odium. We're just like, oh, hang on a minute. Like, I'll admit, as much as I've always disliked Amaram, I didn't expect that.
Fair. Yeah, I wouldn't have either. That's a good point. I think that's what makes it such a good turn, because like, we hate this guy, but you don't think that badly of him. But then once it's explained here, you're like, okay, no, I get it.
Yeah.
And Kaladin recognizes what he can take from this, and so he starts poking at this hole where he's like, "Oh, this was all an attempt to soothe your conscience. Well, it failed. If you're so great, why do you still feel bad? Why do you still hurt? You murderer. You've switched sides to find peace, but you won't ever have it. He'll never give it to you."
It's like, if you didn't still feel bad about that, you wouldn't keep like trying to make me not feel bad about it.
Everything I've done is for Alethkar. I'm a patriot. It's like, if that's true, why do you still hurt? Like, Kaladin keeps coming back to it and pissing him off. And Amaram continues to be like, I made you, I forged you. And Kaladin has the line that is the source of the chapter title. 10 spears go to battle and 9 shatter. Did the war forge that one spear, or did it identify the spear that would not break? And we go back to Renarin. They're working on taking down the Thunderclast. And on some level, it seems to be scared of Renarin. Gliss goes, it will fear you. It will go. Make it so that it will go. And Renarin does it somehow. Like, he's like, what do I do? And Gliss says, light. And Renarin, it says, raise his fists and makes this powerful, glowing beacon of light. And the red eyes from the thing fade away. So he scared it away somehow.
I can appreciate that he did it, and that's fine, but like, how? Why? What I need more about your powers, Renarin. we focus so much on the seeing piece. What is this? Can all Radiants do that?
Right? That would be good to know. Very useful. So Renarin's going to go help opening the Oath Gate. We go back to Shallan, whose army is dying. A hulking variety of fused had organized the enemy. And Shallan's getting tired after all this light weaving. But that's when Yasna shows up and turns a bunch of stuff into oil and then lights the oil on fire, which seems to be a move that she's a big fan of.
I mean, if it ain't broke.
Okay, fair, yeah. And we find out that of the 3, it was Radiant that was actually like physically there, because Yasna tries to reach out to Shallan and her hand just goes through her. And Shallan is kind of gone at this point. She sees Yasna, she's like, are you real? And Yasna's like, yes, Shallan, come on. You did well. And they have a discussion about soul casting, where we get some cool information. Yasna says that different materials have to be convinced in different ways. You have to offer stone like freedom if you want to turn it into something like air, but air you have to like impose your will on, essentially.
It felt a bit like Shy with the soul stamp. He's like, you can't go too far away from what it really is. Like, you've still got to appeal to it and convince it that it can be whatever it is. It's similar kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure. I think it really comes out in, there was the part where she turned a window into like a really pretty stained glass window, and the guy was like, I mean, what you've told me about soul stamping, I don't see how this would work. And she goes, well, I mean, if you were a window, wouldn't you want to be like a pretty one? So yeah, there's definitely a similar feeling. And then I love that Yasna goes, maybe this isn't the time when a lecture is advisable. Let's keep moving.
There's something to be said for on-the-job training.
Well, Shallan might be a little tired to internalize any of it at the moment, but yeah, nothing like a bunch of bad guys coming to kill you to make you figure out soul casting real quick.
Yeah.
Renarin arrives at the Oathgate only to find 12 fused waiting there. He's like, crap. And we find we find Brightness Teshev, who's been communicating to Urithiru via Spanreed, and there's been an attack there. Kind of knew that. The Oathgates, the enemy's holding the plateau with the Oathgates, so we're not going to get reinforcements through. And there's fused hanging out above the Oathgate here, even after the Thunderclast fell, like they're keeping it from being activated. And Renarin's like, it's got to be opened. And Teshev's like, no, you can't fight them all. He goes, there's nobody else, and starts to go, and is shocked that no one's like, wait, no, stop. She's like, okay, well, I'm a Radiant now, I guess. And then he starts to have one of his fits that give him visions of what is to come. They'd always been right until today, when they had proclaimed Yasna Kolin's love would fail. And then he reads the new set of images and smiles, which confuses the fuse that he's facing. He's like, oh, don't worry, you guys didn't miss something funny. I mean, I doubt you guys would find it funny anyway. And the Oath Gate explodes with light. Like a herald from lore, a man rose in the air above, glowing white, Teft, Night Radiant. Which is a very badass moment. I'm glad Teft... We didn't get a perspective from him in this chapter, but he got a very cool moment nonetheless.
Well, not yet. The section's still over. The section's not over, I mean.
Fair. We cut back to Shallan briefly. She's having just a conversation with Pattern about, like, we pushed ourselves real hard and stuff's getting real weird. And then we see the Parchment troops, thousands and thousands of fresh Parchment troops coming with ladders for a full-on assault. Bridge 4 has arrived with about 2,000 Kholin troops. Not enough to turn the tide, but we brought 3 Shard Bearers as well. And Rock was in bad shape. They had to carry him to the Oath Gate. But as soon as he got here, close to Kaladin, he started drawing light again and heals himself, so that's awesome. And I love that Lynn says Kara, which is one of the other women who joined the group, she's going to fight with the others. Don't tell anyone. She's been practicing with a spear since childhood, the little cheater. But I'm not real good at spear yet. And so Rock and Lynn are going to go help pulling people wounded off the front line, since Rock won't fight and Lynn's not really good at fighting yet. And then Rock gives Renarin a hug. And he thinks like, oh, geez, you're not supposed to just grab somebody like that. And he goes, why? And Rock says, you looked like a person who needed a hug. And Renarin says, I assure you I never look like that. But I'm glad you guys came. Oh, I love it. Renarin,
Just take a hug.
Well, yeah, but he's got to think about people touching him, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Dalinar is back in with the thrill and thinking about how much he's changed. It wasn't one giant leap that he changed since he was this man, just a million little steps. And then someone's hand grabs his, and he's like, Lift? You shouldn't have come in here. But I'm the best at going places I'm not supposed to, and gives him the ruby. And he explains that it's just like Navani told him about capturing Spren, or Taravangian told him, sorry. You lure the Spren in with something it loves. You give it something familiar, something it knows. When Shallan got close to the Unmade in the tower, it was afraid, but I don't think the thrill comprehends like it did. It can only be bested by someone who deeply understands it. And he says again, thank you for giving me strength when I needed it. Now, old friend, it's time to rest. Kaladin, back to Kaladin and Amaram. And Kaladin, there's not a lot of Stormlight left. He gets beat on pretty badly in this section. He's on the ground like broken. And then the fused freak out as the red mist implodes and vanishes. And they start running. But Amaram, on the other hand, is still there, although now he has a dark purple light in his chest cavity, which is completely empty except for the gemstone. So yeah, his chest is gone except for a gemstone.
It's not just consuming your soul, it's like literally consuming you.
Ugh, yeah.
It's really gross.
It is. Like, why anyone would choose this. I guess maybe he didn't know exactly what would happen, but still. And all Kaladin could do is he's like whispering the whole time. It's like, Amaram, I see what you are, what you've always been. I see the guilt. You tried to break me as a slave, but you failed. They rescued me. And Amaram is about to kill Kaladin, and Kaladin's like, Bridge 4. And then Amaram takes an arrow to the head, going right through his skull. And as he turns to see where the arrow came from, he gets another straight through that gemstone heart, and it explodes, and he drops.
Yeah!
And yes. On the one hand, it's an extremely cool, badass moment. On the other hand, it's in some ways disappointing. Like Rock, who Kaladin turns and sees Rock holding the giant shard bow. He doesn't really have a personal history with Amaram, so...
No, but he's just doing the Bridge 4 thing. He's like, that's my friend and my commander. I will defend him.
Yeah. Bridge
like,
4.
Doesn't matter what the threat is. Bridge 4. And
as you mentioned, like, this is probably going to have some ramifications going forward for Rock personally.
Yeah.
So it's story-wise, it's an interesting choice to make here for sure.
I did think for a minute, it's like, surely they're not going to kill Amaram now. Like Amaram seems to be like the bastard who keeps getting away from things, so maybe he will live to fight another day. And then it's like, nope, smoke out the corpse and 2 shard blades dropping on the rock. I'm like, oh, all right, he's dead.
Yep.
Sounds pretty dead.
Yep.
I'm not sad about it. I'm good.
Nope, no regrets.
And Kaladin got to be right there for it, so that at least he didn't get to see Sadeas die. He gets Amaran. That was the personal stake that he had in this thing.
Yeah.
He's already kind of made his peace with Rashon at the beginning of the book, so maybe he'll be happier after this.
Let's not go nuts.
Yeah, fair. And all of the after the thrill is gone, all of Sadeas' soldiers, the glow fades from their eyes. It says some of them run and retreat with the Parshmen who start retreating as well. Some of them just fall down and start vomiting and on the ground, and whatever happened, it was not good for him. And then we get Lopin helping Kaladin. Lucky the Horn Eater was looking for you, Gon. The rest of us thought we'd just fight, And then we find Dalinar holding the gemstone and crying. Are they tears of joy? It's over, Captain. It's over. And that is the end of the chapter. So yeah, we appear to have routed the enemy, or at least sent them retreating. The Thunderclasts are both down. So I guess the battle is won. I mean, we don't know for sure everything, but with Dalinar being it's over, that's a good sign. So what do you guys think? We have 2 chapters and an epilogue left, and I think I have decided that for next time we will do 2 chapters. It's going to be not as big as this one chapter, but a pretty large section in terms of what we normally read. So we're going to do 121 and 122, which are called Ideals and A Debt Repaid. And then for everyone listening, after we do that, all we have left is the epilogue, endnote, etc. We're going to do that at the same time as we do the episode we had planned, where we take the Radiant quiz and we talk about the different Radiant orders and stuff. So we'll fill out the episode a little bit, since it'll be a shorter section we're reading for the one after next time. But in the meantime, what do you guys think? We've got to wrap up what's going on in this book, and then moving into Rhythm of War for predictions. Where does the story go from here?
What were the chapter names? Sorry.
121 is called Ideals, and 122 is A Debt Repaid.
Oh man, I don't know what either of those means. Ideals makes me think it's got to be something to do with the Knights Radiant, but there's a large list of characters that could belong to, and that's assuming it's not just chopping and changing between them. So I don't know. Yeah, so I feel like the battle itself is over. Odium, I think Odium is still bound to the world as a result of this, because I think Dalinar has won their little contest in the name of humanity. So, but that Odium is still alive. So yeah, this the chapter is going to be mopping up the battlefield. It sounds like the Parshmen might retreat because they were not expecting to. If Odium himself has fled the field, then maybe the listeners are also the Fuse are just oh shit, we weren't prepared for this. Let's get the hell out of here. So yeah, they retreat to regroup. No one knows, don't know where Odium has run off to. I feel like we still need. There was another name on the perspective list who has not shown up yet. We've barely gotten any of Ash, I think. So I think we'll still see the Heralds talk a bit more in the next chapter. Maybe they will. Ash and Town will run into Nail, and they'll have their discussion, and Nail will fly off with the listeners. And then there was another name, Via, which I don't think has whoever that is hasn't shown up yet. So God only knows who that belongs to. But
oh, that's true. I'd forgotten we had that perspective of a character we had no idea who they were.
Yeah, we still don't know that name. I don't even know what ethnicity that name belongs to.
Right.
So yeah, I am confused. I feel like it's going to be sort of mopping up, and then just going, all right, let's regroup, let's rebuild. Where are we at? I do think. I mean, I know the alliance was already pretty well busted because of what had come out about Dalinar, but maybe they'll try and renegotiate with people. And it's all right, let's bring the coalition back together. Then Taravangian shows up, and Seth is just not you.
Yeah, Seth knows all about some of the more horrible things Taravangian has been behind. So if people were willing to believe him, he could probably convince the coalition.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone will believe him, but I feel like Dalinar will, and I feel like Adolin probably would as well. So if Seth says, yeah, no, I was sent to kill Dalinar under orders from him, and they're all just gonna go, oh, you son of a bitch. So then Taravangian can also do his next time gadget.
Although they're also all kind of pissed off at Dalinar, and if we discover the assassin in white is serving Dalinar at the moment, that might just make it look worse.
True. I mean, yeah, all right, when you put it like that, the coalition might not survive, but I feel like the Thaylens are on board, considering how bad the Alethi just went to bat for them.
Yeah, they would not have survived in any way without at least Dalinar and Dalinar's close. I mean, the Alethi, most of the Alethi were on the other side of that battle, the ones who were in the battle. So, but yeah, Dalinar at least, I feel like they should know they can trust at this point.
Yeah, so I think the Thaylens and the Alethi will still be on board. The Azish will depend entirely on if Lift can convince them not to run away. But yeah, it's a hard one to know how the coalition will go. But the core characters, I believe, they'll be on board.
Yeah, at least the Azish should believe that Dalinar never intended to, like, he wasn't secretly working with Odium the whole time after he defeats Odium and saves Thaylen City. So that might help convince the Azish, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, who knows? We will see. Oh, and just because we forgot about her and we only saw her briefly. Don't know what Venli's up to either.
Right?
Not a clue.
Yeah, where you are the presumably only Knight Radiant now on the enemies in the enemy's camp. Yeah, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, who knows?
Any clue on how the war progresses from here? Any thoughts?
I feel like it's gonna go on. Like Odium's still alive, the fused are still out there, but I have no idea what form it will take. Like, what's Odium's next plan? He was pretty firm on trying to, this is what I'm building towards, getting Dalinar to give in and then allow me to release him. Odium's now stuck, bound to the planet as a result of this contest. So, does he go back just like, I'm going to try and kill Dalinar, and like maybe the power can flow into someone I can manipulate, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably like the $100,000 question or whatever is. What is Odium? What is his plan? Just failed apparently, and he's
where
stuck.
does Odium go from here?
Yeah, presumably his side follows his lead, so what he decides is going to be real important. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot more than what's already been kind of spoken about. I guess, yeah, I'm really interested to see where Venli's story goes and how she, now that she's, spoken words, how does she get to the others and then be accepted by the others? I don't know. I feel like these characters have all got to kind of sit down because we're like, okay, we've got to deal with the fact the assassin in white's here. He's got some stuff. He knows some stuff. He's also done some stuff. Like how much do you trust him? Well, he's just come to bat for you in a pretty big way.
Yeah, for sure.
But like there's a lot to, kind of talk about there. What about Glyph? Like a lot of Odium's plans didn't pan out. So obviously the main one with Dalinar. I don't know. I feel like he was kind of getting rid of Amaram. Like Amaram wants more. Here you go. I think Odium knew exactly what was going to happen to Amaram, so I don't think there's any huge ramifications for losing him. How much of the Alethi army did Odium actually get to? If we're saying that maybe Moash has already been kind of tainted with that brush, the army that ran away, have they kind of been siding with Odium, and then those who stayed behind and were physically unwell, were they not on Odium's side? Like how far? I think we need to assess how far his reach actually went within the army, because he didn't stop at Amaram and Dalinar. There's a lot more people obviously that he was trying to get to, so he's got to recover that plan. Obviously, Venli's kind of like both sides. Odium's hold on Renarin also didn't pan out, so like there's a huge amount of recovery to do. But how much of Glyph is good, and how much is he under Odium's influence as well? Like I don't know. There's a lot to kind of have a look at there too. I don't know where the war overall is going. I feel like they need some time to recover now. But I mean, I'm assuming Rhythm of War is also quite a big book, so there'll be plenty of time to have a bit of quiet in the beginning, I guess, and then move on. I had sort of put the Taravantian stuff in the back of my mind because he hasn't really been around. But yeah, having Seth, that's dangerous for Taravantian now. I wonder how much of this was predicted in the diagram. I'd really like a viewpoint from him at some point soon. Because yeah, there's a lot there, and now things get a bit dangerous for him if Seth is around too. So if I was Seth, I would definitely want to take that guy out, not held to by some stone anymore. So I really want a resolution to the Sadius murder chapter by the end of the book. I don't want that to hang on to another book, but we'll see. Other than that, I don't know. It's kind of, I guess, the rest of the book just wrapping up now.
Taravangian is on our list of characters to get a perspective in part 5, and I don't think we've seen one from him yet, so presumably we will at least.
Okay.
I forgot that he was.
So I who knows how much information it'll give. It could be one of those like 2-paragraph perspectives for all we know, but we should get something.
Yeah.
Now you got me looking at the list. It said we'll get the Knights Radiant, who we've seen some of, Ash, Navani, we've seen those, Adolin. We saw a Yanagon on the boat. We haven't seen Taravangian. I don't think we've seen Polona or Vyre, as Dak pointed out. We don't even know who that is. And Wit, which we know Wit often gets the epilogue in these. So that may be
shows
that.
up at the end. Still a bit to go.
You want to see the Sadius murder plot get resolved. I can definitely get, like, he was murdered at the end of the last book, and we've come so far since then and not really made any substantial progress except for Adolin admitting to Shallan that he did it. So how do you see it? If we're going to resolve it in these last 2 chapters or so, how do you see it getting resolved?
I don't know. I feel like at least Dalinar has to know, but I don't know. Like, he wouldn't just come out and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I murdered Sadius." Do they all go back to the halls of Urithiru and then they're like, "Oh, yeah, what did happen to Sadius?" Like, you've now got no Amaram, so you've got Iolai. I don't know whether she would just come out and confront someone, or I don't know, maybe she does get a bit uppity, and I don't know. I don't know how you would do it.
Yeah, she sure
I
as heck
don't want.
probably still wants to know who killed her husband. So yeah.
Well, she would want to know, unless she manages to uncover. Maybe that's how it gets outed. Like, she manages to uncover that Adolin has done it, or something. Like, that would be quite a spanner, I think. How she would know that, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they would go. I don't know how they would do it. I just don't want Adolin in another book going, "Oh yeah, by the way, you remember that time I killed Sadius?" Like, it's gotta play in somehow.
You said at least Dalinar should find out. How does Dalinar react to that, do you think? Like, if Iolai shows up and it's like, I found proof that your son did it. Like, what does he do?
Yeah, I don't know. Because you kind of got to go like Adolin, you can't go around killing high princes for sure. But it was Thaddeus. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there would be huge ramifications for Adolin. Yeah, so if I think it depends on how Dalinar is going to find out. If Dalinar found out directly from Adolin, I think that would go a lot better overall. If Dalinar found out from an external source like Iolai, and he didn't already know from Adolin, there's not a lot he can do. And I think that would definitely shape the repercussions for Adolin going forward. Like, I don't think Dalinar would care. But if he's in a position of authority over these people and he's got to try and there are still good Alethi people in the Sadius camp, right? If he's going to exercise any like authority or kingship or anything over these people, then he's going to have to do something about it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, "But it's okay, my son killed Thaddeus." Like, you can't do that. So, I mean, there could still be repercussions for Adolin, but I don't think they would be like calling for his execution. Iolai might call for his execution, but she now doesn't have like Amaram as the head of her house. So, yeah, it could get real messy real fast. Oh, Elhokar. We still haven't, like, Navani's learnt that Elhokar has died, but the rest of the kingdom don't. Like, what are they going to do about that? Is Adolin going to be king or not?
Yeah, is Adolin like Elhokar's gone? Gavinor, his son, maybe also gone. Is Adolin king? Could Adolin be king if that comes out?
It would all have to depend on how that is handled, wouldn't it?
Mm.
I think the only way you could do it where Adolin can be king in that situation is like Islay would have to be gone.
At the very least, we know that, like you said, Amram's gone, and they've also, I think, lost a large part of the Sadeas army in this battle.
Mm.
So I'm going to call that bright side with a question mark, because
Yeah.
that makes Islay less of a threat, but it also means Alethi forces overall are weakened.
Yeah, do you sort of abandon your high prince families as such? Do you kind of regroup and then go, okay, well, now we're all as part of Urithiru now? Like, effectively, Sadeas, you've got no leadership, therefore you fall under Colin. Now, I don't think Islay would go for it, but, they're not going back to, well, where are we? Know that they can't go. They haven't been able to go back to Kolinar, but where else can they go?
Actually, that's a good point too. That I will raise a question that I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on. So we have lost Kolinar. Maybe a lot of Alethkar at this point is a conquered territory. Do we need a new king of Alethkar? Is that a priority? So going into the next book or the end of this book or whatever, what do you guys think the leadership looks like? Do we just say Dalinar he's in charge of Urithiru, so he's in charge of all of this? Do we make Adolin king? Do we make, if Adolin can't be king because something comes out about Sadeas here, does that mean Renarin is like? What do you guys see the leadership situation looking like as we move forward? Because it's kind of in flux at the moment. We've now confirmed Elhokar is gone, and that opens up a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Dalinar's probably just built a lot of trust with the remaining Alethi. He's definitely seen them through this. I think at the moment you would need to almost consider like a wartime leadership situation, put Dalinar in, and then you have to rebuild your kingdom after the fact.
I guess that would definitely make sense for the moment, at least. Yeah. What do you think, Jack?
I think this all hinges upon if we're going to lines of primogeniture. Is that the word where it's like, firstborn sons and whatnot? I'm like, you know what? Elhokar's sister is still right there.
Oh,
so
true.
Maybe we hand the reins over to Yasna for a bit in lieu of rather than trying to fiddle around with like the heirs, because presumably Adolin would be Dalinar's heir for Urithiru, and so would Renarin.
Mhm.
So she's like, why don't we go back to Gavilar's line? I go, okay, we don't have Gavinor, we don't have Elhokar, but Gavilar had another child.
I personally love Yasna, so I love this idea. Yeah. I don't know how the rest of the Alethi leadership reacts to that, given they're very strict. Men can do these things, women can do these things.
Yeah, and like obviously we're looking at it from a lens of this is a character who we know is very competent and would probably do a good job.
I also don't think she would want it.
Oh, maybe
that's
not.
That's also a possibility.
I think she would be great at it, but I don't think she would want to do it.
Yeah, and the society would probably not be thrilled by the possibility, but then we don't have a lot of options left at this point.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. But also, I hadn't even thought about it, but yeah, does Urithiru pass down in a normal manner? Like, is Adolin the heir to that? Even though, as king of Urithiru, Dalinar is kind of like leader of the Radiance, and Adolin's not a Radiant. Does that preclude him from being in succession for Urithiru title? Like that opens up a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, it's like we can't just go straight to Dalinar's line for who is the heir to Alethkar without sorting out what the situation is with Urithiru. Because you're right, if that's like Radiant Town and Aelin's not a Radiant, maybe he can't do that and he'd be free, and Renarin would be next for Urithiru. But yeah, it's just questions that we haven't got answered because they themselves haven't really considered it.
Yeah, they haven't had time, quite honestly.
Yeah, like I mean, at no point did they consider, of course Ellikar's coming back. Why wouldn't Ellikar come back?
I think they definitely considered the possibility that they were all dead, but it was like the whole Kholinar group, but it wasn't something they wanted to linger on. They're like, maybe
Yeah.
they're alive, you know?
And they had more immediate thoughts of what that would mean than the line of succession. It's like, you know what, let's figure out if we have a kingdom left before we figure out who's going to be the king of it.
Yeah, because if there's not, if it's all conquered already, then like
Moot point.
maybe there's no point in even arguing over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Some interesting like avenues that we hadn't really thought of before, but yeah, lots of possibilities. All right, let's start to wrap up. Let's do a couple of emails, and then we'll wrap this up. The first one I have is from Baragond23, and it's titled Bobbyverse and How I Got into Sanderson. It says, "Hi, Sanderlanche crew. Greetings from Canada. I go by Baragond23 on the internet. I've been listening for almost 2 years now, and meaning to email, but never followed through. Now that you guys are talking about the Bobbyverse, my time has come." And for anyone in the audience, you may remember that was a recommendation we got, was the sci-fi books called the Bobbyverse. And I did read the ones that are out so far, and it's pretty interesting stuff. This Baragon says, "Through a twist of fate, the Bobbyverse is actually how I got into Sanderson. I got the first 2 books on a 2-for-1 Audible credits deal. Side note, Ray Porter is an elite narrator. It's exciting he's done part of Tailored Realities. And when I finished that trilogy, I was looking for more adventurous sci-fi, and Skyward was included in the Audible subscription at the time. I'd seen Sanderson's name before and decided to give it a try. I powered through that and then got into Mistborn and became hooked on Sanderson. I've now read or listened to the whole Cosmere minus White Sand and listened to your podcast slightly out of order as I did. Flip-flopping back and forth between When Honor Dies and the Mistborn Era 2 intro music was certainly jarring." Okay, well, now I feel like we may have really spoiled this person for at the beginning of Way of Kings. That was the big spoiler that people got mad at when we started doing Way of Kings, and spoiled. Here comes the spoiler again for Mistborn Era 2. Spoiled Wayne's death. Sorry, Baragond.
He doesn't seem too broken up about it.
It's true. Yeah, maybe he was really mad at the time, but we've just gotten beyond that now.
Yeah.
I'm emailing after listening to episode 263, the conclusion of part 4 of Oathbringer, and am basking in the return of volcano theories. Never be afraid to swing for the fences, guys. Side note to Data, will you let them use the Coppermind with Time Machine after this book? It would probably help keep track of characters and such. I'll get back to that in a second. In short, you guys are a great Sanderson podcast, easily one of the best in my mind. Your banter's top tier. Keep it up. All the best from Baragond. So, the Time Machine thing on the Coppermind is a wiki of Sanderson stuff, and the Time Machine functionality is essentially like it's a feature in the Coppermind that lets you say, I want to see the wiki as it was on this date. So you can put in the date that Oathbringer came out, and you won't get anything that came out past that, so that you don't spoil yourself on stuff.
Interesting.
That's a great idea. Whoever came up with that, well done.
Oh yeah, right. It only works after a certain point. I think it's like after Words of Radiance came out that they created the feature, and so that it would work. But I mean, we're past that point pretty well now. So I hadn't actually thought about that. We might could work that. If you guys need to be able to reference some old things, yeah, I'll have to roll that around in my head. But that's a good idea. Thank you, Baragond. Let's see. Let me find another one that's not too crazy. There's a giant Star Wars rant one. I don't know if this is the right time for that. Oh, here. This one's kind of fun.
Rant?
Yeah, it was after an episode where we talked about some Star Wars stuff, and then this person's like, "Here, let me go off on this Star Wars rant."
Oh boy. Okay.
I think Joe would appreciate being here for that, which is why I was like, "Yeah, maybe we'll save that one." Yeah. We'll do one more shortish one. We've still got a bunch in the mailbox, so if you've sent one, even if you sent one a little while ago, sometimes I'm picking and choosing a little bit. We've also got one that's got some spoilers in it that was sent back in September that I still can't read. So these things happen, is what I'm saying. Don't think that we didn't get your email, because there's still several in there. But this one is from Ola. Okay, no, I'm going to say this one is from Simon, is what the from box says. And the title is Swedish Podcast. Hi guys, longtime listener and fan here from Sweden. Have been around since one of the first episodes. Your pod is the highlight of every work week, and as a huge Sanderson fan, I write an email in my head after every episode that I never get around to sending. Together with There's Always Another podcast and Stormpod, you've inspired me and my friend to start our own Read Along Cosmere podcast in Swedish. If you have any Swedish listeners, we would appreciate a shout out from you guys. It would mean a lot. And if this is a thing that you don't do, we fully understand. Keep up the good work. Love, I'm going to say Ola Lind at Mistborn-Podden, Podden. So there you go. Mistborn Podden seems to be the name of the podcast, I assume. Didn't really say anything else about it in there. So if you speak Swedish, whether or not you live in Sweden, and you're interested in a Swedish language one, check that one out. I cannot speak to whether they're doing an amazing job or not, because I do not speak Swedish, but I hope some of you do and would enjoy that. I love hearing you've inspired us to do one of these things too. That's awesome.
Yeah, neat.
So thank you guys for the emails. If anyone would like to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook and Patreon, where I am still putting up my readings of Isles of the Emberdark. And Dak is going to start his Cosmere RPG a couple of sessions pretty soon. And as we said last week, if you guys are interested in him, recording some stuff, talking about it, giving us a recap of the kind of stuff that they did, let us know.
It's only going to be a short one.
To the Patreon.
2 sessions, so I'll figure out the best way to create something to put up.
Yeah. So hoping that you really enjoy that. I haven't actually gotten to play in one. I ran a couple of sessions of it. So I'm hoping when Mistborn comes out, I'll get a chance to play. Hey, remember, we're doing the last 2 numbered chapters for next time. So chapters 121 and 122 of Oathbringer. If you're following along, read those chapters. A little time after that, we're going to do the epilogue and the rest of that stuff at the end. And we're going to take the Radiant quiz on Brandon's website. And we're going to figure out what we are going to read next. I'm going to get these guys' input again, like we've done after the last couple of Stormlight books, and see where it goes. I honestly feel like after this one, we may need a Stormlight break, but let's see what they think after we finish the book. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Music by Miracle of Sound, and Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crabs ahoy!
Coronas wide, supernovas die, fractured in the fateful fall of man. Feel the heart raging of a strength unseen, unity will bring